Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. It's about 71 days to the conduct of the 2019 elections in Nigeria. As you prepare for active participation in the process, you can always keep a date with us for in-depth information and analysis of events leading to the all-important polls. Today on the program, Oshomole launches astonishing attack on Obasanjo. Amosu and Okorocha says God is set to punish Obasanjo for supporting Atiku. Magnus Abbey vows never to leave the APC. ASU tells varsity students, parents to prepare for a long strike as reps ask Buhari to implement deal with the union. And later on the show, police confirm killing of 16 officers by Zamfara bandits, rescue 20 others. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Martin Zoloja, and Asukwa James. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for
Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, the great French statesman and military leader Napoleon Bonaparte once quipped that, quote, "In politics, absurdity is not a handicap," end quote. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Adamu Adamu, is one who never shied away from a fight. On Wednesday, while playing host to APC women leaders from Edo and the FCT in Abuja, Oshomole launched an astonishing attack on former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun, and his Imo State counterpart Rochas Okorocha. The former Edo governor said God is set to punish Obasanjo for supporting Atiku. He also took a swipe at Amosu and Okorocha, describing them as electoral liabilities, vowing that APC will win elections in their states without their backing. Well, it's obvious that campaigns have started in earnest, Judy, but then should this kind of statement be coming from a person of Adamu Adamu, seeing that he wants to reconcile the party and, well, people have been talking about an issues-based campaign?
Yes, even some of what you said amounts to hate speech.
Yes, some have said that.
Invoking the anger of God on someone for changing his mind. If Obasanjo said someone was a rogue, if he said Atiku was the equivalent of Alibaba, and he changed his mind, he's well within his right to change his mind. It is up to Nigerians to decide with their votes whether they believe that Atiku is as good as his supporters or his party is trying to make him look like. The decision is firmly in the hands of Nigerians. So Oshomole has really been running his mouth these days in a manner that diminishes his office. He does not realize it. Those of us who support him, who support his reform in the APC, we've told him that he doesn't have to talk with this frequency. He doesn't have to talk with this kind of monotony. It really does not make any sense. You can occasionally intervene. Well, Asiwaju does that. It's not all the time that he talks.
Yeah.
If you make a habit of talking all the time, it will get to a point that people will no longer value whatever you say. As a newspaper journalist, I was in the habit of going after people who do not grant interviews frequently. Because those are the people that Nigerians would want to read. Yes. Oh, this man has not spoken in a long while. What has he got to say this time? You are interested, you know? So, but to be talking the way, and I'm wondering, if you look at someone like Okorocha or even Anamosun, I don't think even Oshomole has won more elections than these two individuals. Because Amosun won election as a senator, as a PDP person. I may not approve of his style of politics or his know-it-all tendencies, but you can't say that they are political liabilities. You said it at that time that those who are leaving that they could go. But we saw even in the election in Osun, APC almost came to being embarrassed. They had to struggle. And many of them didn't think that that election would degenerate into a struggle. You know? So you can't say that a two-term governor who had also been elected as a senator, you can't say that he is a political liability. At what point did you discover how many elections has he lost? He's on record to have won election on different platforms. So even if you said, oh, someone didn't win an election until he joined your party, it's on record that he once won an election even before he joined your party. It's on record that Okorocha won election as an ABGA candidate. So, and this is not even the way to resolve issues. But the way he's speaking now, and say that the party will win the election even without their support. These guys have made up their minds that for the president, because I know that Okocha's in-law has moved to AA.
Yes.
In fact, the slogan in Imo now is, my genotype is AA. What's your genotype? My genotype is AA. No, that's their slogan.
Yes.
But the AA has committed to supporting President Buhari, to voting for President Buhari in the presidential election. The issue, the disagreement they have is with the governorship.
Yes.
You know? So you can't now say that, look, that they will be, that their own senatorial contest, that they are going to be defeated in the senatorial contest. Because if you say that, it then means that you are encouraging them to not even support the president aspiration. So that is wrong. I think that they should be making moves on their own to see how even this issue can be resolved. It can still be resolved to the extent that maybe on election day, those guys will still support the candidate of the party. I don't, even if they've decided to join other parties, it doesn't foreclose reconciliation, because we've seen that happen on election day or even hours to an election. A resolution could be reached, or a kind of agreement can be reached, in which case they will now tell their supporters, okay, go and vote for those also. But it's foreclosing that now by just abusing people and saying that they will not win election. Even you, how many elections did you win?
All right, let's come to Martin now. Jide has said that, like some others have said, that this statement that Adams Oshiomhole has made is more of a hate speech. And perhaps, what do you make of it? Is that what you see it as as well?
It's apt, appropriate, hate speech, hate action. And for a leader like that, for, you know, we're talking of communication strategy that they haven't designed well. He was talking about a former president, two-term president, former head of state, former president, former head of state, older than him. This is Africa, this is not Europe. And for him to be talking like that, to say God will judge him, he was playing God, talking about God. How will God punish him? How will God judge him? He's talking about God, and it's not good. You know, if he's talking about God, we would have advised him to borrow from what even Jesus Christ himself did, who dealt with 12 ordinary men. At the end of the day, he saw that those 12 ordinary men were not going to make impact, and he decided to recruit a terrorist, Paul, who was an orator. So through him, he captured and he expanded his ministry, and he was able to write 2/3 of the New Testament. Yeah. So the quality of people who talk at such a time like this matters a lot, because there is power, as I said before, that I was talking about Bishop Okonkwo. There is power in the word that we use. At any time like this, the communication strategy has to be right. Talking about colleagues, say that they are electoral, they are liabilities. They can't be liabilities. He should be looking for assets. It is not for any ordinary reason that people who worship the body of knowledge have created conflict resolution and peace building, as even at postgraduate level. Conflict resolution and peace building. That is what he needs at this time. And the way you talk can bring, in Yoruba, they will say it can bring out cutlass. It can also bring out kola nut. Yes. The way you talk about the same thing. Somebody, Sokwa will say it, and then so they draw machetes. Another one will say, oh, yo, wow, they bring out kola nut. So the way you talk at this time is very, very, very important. So he hasn't spoken well because there is power in the word. At this time, the word of the chairman of the party at such a time like this should minister grace to the people.
And perhaps healing.
Yes, and healing to the people.
Especially for the party.
That's taking it to the spiritual level. as if we are in the church.
Yes, we are.
No, because the party is looking at reconciling.
Grace, my anointing.
Well, I don't know if we all have to be in the spiritual realm now. but
He's in the mood to preach.
Yeah, I can see it. No, if the reconciliation, even the so-called reconciliation committee that was set up, he has not even allowed them, to do their work.
With all of these statements.
This, because he has even put those guys in a very tight, corner. How do you now want to bring an Amosu to come and begin to talk to people that is coming from Oshomole? It will be difficult. Same with Okorocha, with such statements. And then for him to start, abusing and talking down on the former president, I think is not too good, for a party leader. At least we saw Oyegun when Oyegun was there. We don't want to start making comparison, but wisdom, like what I know, that the people that are elderly are always, we call them, we know that they are always very wise. They hardly talk. And when they talk, people listen and people get information from them. So, and that is what we expect Adams Oshomole to also exude. It should be a leader people will always want to listen to.
Perhaps his background as a comrade is what is coming to play.
It should now what he should do is to leave his garb of comradeship or comradeship or whatever somewhere and begin to think how he will unite the party, because his statement is polarizing the party every day. People want a united, his own party members want a united party. Because they are going for a tough battle. Maybe he doesn't know. The battle is not going to be easy. The feelers he might be getting in Abuja is different from what is happening in Lagos and some other states. These two leaders, because Okorocha is not a small fry in Imo State. Yeah. Same with Amosun.
Sitting governor.
These are two powerful sitting governors. And the president needs this state. Whether he wants 25%, votes in Imo State, he needs Okorocha. If he wants full votes in Ogun State, he needs Amosun.
But he's saying that the party can do without both of them.
Veronica, the party needs everything at this period for them to, to get those votes for the president. If I were to be the president now, I have to call him to order. Speak less. You have a publicist. You have a national publicity secretary. Allow him to do the job of the party. Why did you elect him there?
The party has given him.
Yes. So he shouldn't sideline him. Let him do the one to do the talking. If you want to say anything, at least that one is a communicator. We know him. He will sieve everything he wants to say.
Of course.
And then he will present it properly for everybody to understand. But by the time he starts speaking and abusing the Obasanjo, saying that somebody cannot win election and that their paperweight is going to do more harm than good.
He said something that even shocked me. He said, as governors, they are entitled to their votes.
There is only one.
That is a very naive thing to say.
Influencers.
You see, a governor does not even need to vote, but he can account for 1 million votes.
Of course.
These guys, when it comes to mobilizing people and even buying votes,
exactly.
Nobody does it better than governors. They are the ones who will shell out money on election day and say, go to all of these places, go and ensure that the people come out and all that. They are mobilizers. And they have their structures. You tell a man who has structures in all the local governments of a state that is entitled to one vote, that is just one vote. So what he's saying is that when he was governor, he was only able to account for one vote, his own vote. So it didn't influence
Others.
other people to vote.
Wisdom.
I mean, that is not, you don't say that. You don't diminish people, make it look like, look, they are a non-entity just because you have a quarrel, which in any case, if we handle very well, is still possible for it to be resolved in favor of the party. Because you're supposed to make concessions to these guys.
Yes.
But if you come across as a party leader who is biased, who has made up his mind that, look, this matter is a closed matter, they are not even going to make themselves available for your reconciliation team to meet them. They are not going to make themselves available.
Because
You know,
it's creating...
you said, oh, that that those guys are prodigal sons. Otherwise, they shouldn't have stopped their aides from joining other parties. Yes, for me, I quarrel with the idea of politicians always believing that they must always have their way. And that if they don't have their way, they either move to another party or they get their supporters to move to another party. I quarrel with that. But there also has to be equity and justice. And if there is reconciliation, everyone must see clearly that there is an attempt at genuine reconciliation. When it is transparent, when it is as apparent as daylight, that you really want to reconcile people, honestly, they too will feel, okay, let us give peace a chance. But if they sense that, oh, this man doesn't want us, he has made up his mind, whatever transpires, nothing can change, he's not going to make concessions that he should make to us, then they too will dig in. And that's what we are seeing. If they have confidence in his leadership, they are going to give that attempt at reconciliation a chance to work. The truth is, no, with the comments that he's making, and I've suggested in the past that other people can even make these statements. It's just like a minister going to attack Atiku over the search of his plane, when there are civil servants that you could have even told them to do. When you do that, they feel that, oh, there's no political motive to it. You know? I mean, it's not strategic to just make a statement. The other day he said that Benue people were the ones killing themselves. And you want to go there and campaign for Mr. President too. And you're accusing them of killing one another
there was a story,
without proof.
There was a story that TVC did, which showed that.
Not just that, it was not even the first time. Before then, I think in 2013, the same kind of invasion had happened. So it's not as if those people, that it was even happening the first time. And then without proof, you've never been to the area, you pass a judgment on them that they were the ones killing one another. And you want them to vote for you. You want to go there and campaign. I mean, these are some of the things that they do that hurt the chances of the president without them knowing it.
Well, that's what I'm actually coming to, because he's saying that the 2019 elections is going to be a smooth sail for the president with this kind of statements.
In Abuja, where they are talking is in the constitution, 36 states and Abuja. Abuja is even inconsequential where they are talking from. Nigeria is a vast country. 36 states. You have to gather certain things before you can be declared president. And it is not like 2015. The two key candidates are from the north and they are Muslims. So the strategy has to be different. The way you talk to people, the way they talked in 2015 should be different now. That's why I talked about communication strategy. This is a period, as I wrote before, of consequences. Because what you do, as I was coming, I was reflecting on something Jide said before about former National Publicity Secretary of the same APC, when he wrote a book. You know, the implications of the book even reverberated when they wanted to retain him for the job again in APC, because he wrote a book about the government he served and about people. In contrast, look at the way even the president, despite politics, he has been pressing and, in fact, he has been lionizing the former president. He beat about the way he considered. You understand? And any time he talks like that, people say,
Martins, a lot of them who profess so-called love for the president and some of his aides can never even concede anything to Jonathan. They will never admit that Jonathan even has redeeming features. They will never admit that he did anything that was good. Even the idea of conceding Some of them believe that it's an act of cowardice. They do not even give him credit for it. And there is a man that you look up to.
Yes.
You call him your hero. And this hero of yours continues to say, look, I respect this man for this decision that he has taken.
Yes.
On his bad day, he praised him.
praised him.
But
When
you
he
will sit down, you'll be abusing the man, you'll
book.
be calling him an animal, you'll be calling him all kinds of names.
He sent his secretary to the government there to say he even predicted that he has a future. You know, he continued. He has been consistent since 2015. That I'm even surprised he conceded. Everywhere he said so, even abroad, he maintains that because we're talking about a former president. We're talking about somebody he defeated. You know, so people should
And he has the grace to give him credit.
To give him credit.
Exactly.
Up to this, a few weeks ago, when he marked his birthday and launched a book,
A book, yes.
sent the secretary to the government there, wrote a very nice speech. Why did he talk about politics there?
That is
That's
where
how
Buhari is
leaders should be
different.
talking.
That's where Buhari is different to all of
Say
these
that
people.
God will judge him.
And that is why some of us continue to support him. It's not, he has his frailties, he has his weaknesses, but he has those qualities that are difficult to find in some of these pretenders who call themselves politicians.
It's a period of consequences.
Your final word, Super, quickly.
No, the president just have to, wade in and try and see how this likes, the national chairman can just temper his volume a bit, just bring it down. Because we don't want hate speech. This is the period they are supposed to sell the president to people. So many people want to hear, okay,
said God will punish him thoroughly.
How can you
God
say
will
that?
punish him thoroughly.
This is
And the
complete
person is
hate
supporting.
speech,
That means he will punish him and punish the person
That
Yes,
is hate speech,
supporting.
Is it a
no
crime
matter how
to
you see it.
to contest
No matter how you
election?
see it. So let them not demarket the president. Let them sell the president.
Talking
All
about
right.
a former president.
When we return, Magnus Abbey vows never to leave the APC. Stay with us. Well, changing political parties or cross-carpeting, which is now the norm in our polity, is part of the process. The great British statesman Winston Churchill even attested to this when he averred that, quote, some men change their party for the sake of their principles, others their principles for the sake of their party, end quote. In our case, the line separating both is not clear-cut. In Rivers, one of the gladiators in the crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress APC, Senator Magnus Abbey, has vowed to remain with the party. Senator Abbey, who identified gross disregard for laws by powerful individuals as responsible for the APC crisis in the state, disagreed that the party primaries were responsible. He said rather than jumping ship, he would remain in the APC to fight for justice. Let's hear him.
We will fight for justice in Rivers State. We will fight for justice in Rivers State. And we made our position very clear. There are 3 senatorial districts in this state. You have Rivers East, you have Rivers West, and you have Rivers Southeast. Since the creation of Rivers State, Rivers East has produced governors, both civilian and military. Rivers West has produced governors, civilian governors, and military governors. Rivers Southeast has never produced a governor. And we agreed in the MPC that the position of the governor of Rivers State should be zoned to Rivers Southeast senatorial district. That was what we agreed. So when people get up and want to turn justice on its head at the last minute, you change the rules because of a particular individual. people who love justice and who want to stand by what is right, they don't just have a duty, you have an obligation to oppose injustice where it comes. And that is what we said we will do. We will fight for justice in Rivers State. Rivers Southeast Senatorial District cannot be different from the other senatorial districts. So we will fight for justice in that respect. When the crisis in the All Progressives Congress, which is our party, started, and the origin of the crisis was that people said anybody who wants to follow Senator Abbey should leave the party. And everybody, every leader who does not agree that Senator Abbey will become his enemy must leave the party. And we said that that is not in the constitution of the party. It is not written in the APC constitution. It is not written in the Nigerian constitution. We will not leave the party. Because we built the APC. It wasn't done by ghosts. So we are here. And we will not leave the party. It is our party. So having joined the party, we must fight for the actualization of our dreams. We must fight for change in Nigeria and fight for change in Rivers State. That is why we joined the APC. Not so? We had a meeting. All of us had a meeting of all the leaders. It was the first time that we're sitting together across the divide. Whether you are with Abbey, you are with Amechi, you are with anybody, we all sat together. And we agreed on how we will handle the congresses to keep the party together, where everybody will have an even chance to participate in the activities of the party. We had that meeting and we agreed. Chief Ikanya called the meeting. We even set up a technical committee to go and put that agreement into action. As soon as the minister landed in Port Harcourt, he carried all the things that we decided together and threw it into the crash can. He took the congresses to Intels and said that all those who do not agree with him are out. Members of the APC who had already paid their money to the party for the right to participate in the congresses were denied something as simple as form. What is form? They were not allowed. And they ran to court. So the problem in Rivers State is not the same with any other problem in Nigeria. It is not a problem about primary.
Well, Senator Magnus Abbey there explaining to us what the issue really is with the Rivers State APC, that's the All Progressive Congress. Now, Jide, how far do you think he can go with this fight to ensure justice is done for the Rivers Southeast District?
The case is in court. He is confident that the case will be decided in his favor. None of us can say with certainty what the decision of the judiciary will be, but Abbey still feels confident. I commend him for remaining in the APC. That is what we expect from our politicians. Every time you suffer a setback, you shouldn't be thinking of heading out of the party. It's not a good thing. We've had politicians who since 1999 or 1998 have remained in the same party. Sule Lamido in Jigawa State has never left the PDP. There are many people like that, you know, who have remained in one party. So Magnus Abbey is a good thing, but he has remained with the APC. And hopefully the matter can be resolved amicably and all the parties will come together. It looks difficult, but it is not impossible. The president wades in, and both Senator Abbey and his political godfather, Amechi, come to some form of agreement. Concessions have to be made, you know, in this kind of fight, because there is ego at play now between both men. Both men have been successful politically, and they both will think that, no, I can do this. Why is he doing this to me? Why shouldn't I be the one? But they have to find a way. The party must struggle to resolve the thing, because APC appears to have a chance in Rivers. But it is this conflict that is the biggest problem that they have. If we look at the pattern of elections in Rivers State, the last set of elections, you see that APC has been making gains in that state. So what can actually roll back the gains that the party has made is this kind of conflict. So if they are able to come together, they will be in a very strong position to defeat the PDP in the state. But if they go on and the two biggest politicians in the APC in the state continue to quarrel, then the APC's chances will be limited.
All right, Magnus, do you think that this matter can be resolved amicably?
Well, it can be resolved, but much more. I'm particularly impressed by his own attitude. There is power in his attitude. If he had behaved like some other politicians, as Jide said, and I would have joined to maybe PP or AA and all these ones that PDP or any of those new parties, as so many of them have been doing this. He says, I will remain within the party and fight for justice. That the problem of the party is peculiar. Instead of just blaming everybody, he says that, look, some powerful individuals have a problem with the rule of law, a gross disregard for laws by powerful individuals, that he will remain in the party, because you know it was a resolution of this kind of thing through the court that made even Amechi himself governor. Nobody voted for him.
Exactly.
The court just, they just made a pronouncement that favored him. And Rivers State has a history like that of getting justice like that. And it was, I think, particularly I want to underline the power of his attitude to remain disciplined, to remain a party member, and to fight within the party instead of moving to another party to be talking about justice where it doesn't exist. His own party, he will remain there. He hasn't blamed anybody. He's not asking God to punish anybody. He's not doing anything that will disrupt anything. He is graceful in the way he has been talking, and I think I like him for that.
Well, despite his showing that's his attitude, and like Jide said, the case is in the court, do you think that if it doesn't go in his favor, he might change this tune that he's singing now?
No, I doubt it. Since he has said he wants to remain in the party, don't forget he became a senator even when he left PDP to the APC, and he won. This sitting governor. You know, when the PDP they were still they had the state in their own pocket. He won as APC candidate. You know, but all the problems that he went through, he still won. You know, this seat that he is. So I want to believe that the kind of person he is, he won't want to move. You know, I think most of the people that you are seeing around, you know, that they are just trying to overlook some things and want to remain where they are. The Nigerian democracy is growing by the day. People are getting wiser. But Rivers politics is always very different. And that is why I'm even surprised that nobody has been able to call Amechi and Magnus together, you know, to make sure that they settle their rift.
Ego.
Because, yes, we know, it's like I've been able to go to Rivers. I know that the likes of Wike, Amechi, and even Magnus, they were all from Peter Odili's boys. They are all Peter Odili boys, you know. So they have all grown to become men, boys to men now. So they really want to become maybe grandfathers. You know, and it will be very difficult to settle this, but the party has to wade in to see how they can settle Amechi as well as Abbey. Abbey is a soft-talking person, but he has followers. Followers who believe in his ideas. You understand? He's a big asset. If the APC thinks they can win Rivers without him, it will be very, very difficult. And thank God, okay, they also have, okay, now they now have Tonye Cole, who Amechi actually brought and is running for the party. So the party has to now sit those three people together and see how they can work together. It's not a pushover. Magnus is not a pushover. And they need to understand that the person they are going
Up against.
which is Wike,
It's a tough opponent.
is not, it's just like you are, the whole APC is fighting the whole PDP.
So
Wike
to gain
is
their
not
best
a,
interest.
yes, because
resolve this.
Wike has done so many things. If you go to Rivers now, Rivers has really turned around. So it will take a united APC to defeat Wike now in Rivers.
All right, let's quickly move forward. As unfortunate as it may sound, strikes by university lecturers in Nigeria are becoming the rule rather than the exception. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has been on strike since November the 4th, yet there is no respite in sight. Now, the union has dropped a bombshell. ASU President Professor Biodun Ogunyemi told the striking lecturers and parents to prepare for a long strike. Professor Ogunyemi said they have no option than to prepare for a long, drawn-out struggle to salvage the university system, as all meetings with government are yet to resolve any of their demands. But this could be averted if President Muhammadu Buhari heeds call from members of the House of Representatives who asked him to implement agreements reached with the union. Why is it seeming difficult to, implement this agreement? This has been going on back and forth, Judy.
It's funding, largely. The problem is funding. I remember when the Vice President went to Ibadan to join in the celebration of the 70th Foundation Day of the university, the Premier University. He said ASU's demands were legitimate. He admitted that ASU's demands were legitimate, but he said there will be a need to find other source of funding, that the FG alone cannot meet ASU's demands. And I've heard the minister to say, look, in fact, literally blaming the late President Yaradua for making big concessions to ASU in a time of oil boom. At that time, the oil prices,
Very high.
very impressive, if I could use that word. And we made that concession that, okay, the university system will be funded to the tune of 1.3 billion over a period of 6 years. But they are saying now that we've actually experienced declining oil prices, which affected all sectors of the economy. And all sectors, just like education, also need to be funded. So their own issue really is, look, we can't find this money. We can't find this money. So because other sectors too must be funded. So I really do not see how we can achieve a quick resolution of this matter unless ASU decides to soften its stance. Yes, the issue will be, why did the government, because they signed a memorandum of action in September last year. So if you knew that funding was a critical issue, why did you go into
such an agreement?
Why did you make those concessions? So because the memorandum of action stipulates that the demands of ASU will be met on a graduated basis. You can't now come the following year and be saying, no, there's no money, Yaradua made too much concessions to ASU. That's not what they want to hear. You have to find a way to say, look, gentlemen, we have this problem. We have to confess to ourselves, we can't find this money. This agreement, we have to take a second look at it, and the ones that we can implement, let's implement. I actually believe that some of those demands that they had made, because it's not simply money that they are asking for.
Yeah.
There are simpler demands. For example, they are saying the staff staff schools of universities, that the federal government should not stop funding them. They should resume funding those staff schools. I believe that's a demand that can easily be met, you know. And then even the issue of TSA, that there should be exceptions when it comes to grants and all that, you know, for research and all that. You don't have to implement TSA in a manner that makes it difficult for them to access funds for research and all that. I also think that it's possible to waive that. After all, even for the armed forces, they've waived some elements of this TSA thing. So, the legitimate demands, but funding is a big issue. The Vice President has admitted, the Minister has admitted. So, for me, I do not see how this matter can be quickly resolved, except both parties now come together and say, look, this agreement that was reached, let us see what we can do. Because when the agreement was reached in 2009, Nigeria was a lot more buoyant. So Yar'Adua put money in our strategic reserve more than any president in Nigerian history.
Yes.
And that was because there was money at that time, and he was determined to do that. So, but these are difficult times.
All right, but Martins, is the government really communicating all of this properly, such that the body can understand? Because the body feels that the government is not sensitive to what it's demanding, and so they have to be resolute. The government seems to be trying to intimidate them, so to speak.
Well, definitely, yes, I agree with you. The word communication, I think it's made for constructive engagement, because the issue is complicated at this time, that even the political leaders are preparing for election. NRC people are demanding, even the ones from ASUP, College of Education, they are trying to call off their own. It's so complicated.
And our friends, the oil
the marketers, all at the same time in December, at the time they are planning. But, you know, our leaders should know that the world has been disrupted by social technologies. The way things are happening, the way information is traveling now is at the speed of thought, not light anymore. So they themselves should not sleep. Look at the British people. The British Parliament is going to devote the next 5 days, they don't care whether it's Saturday or Sunday, to Brexit. Yeah. So our people too should sit down. National Assembly people should not just say something and sit down. The committees of National Assembly are very powerful. The Parliament in a democracy, forget about that one, whether this one or this one. I'm talking about the ideal situation. Yes. The Parliament is very powerful. Their committees can do a lot of things. They should be working with data. A lot of water has passed under the bridge since 2009. Like Jide said, there are some low-hanging fruits, like all these staff schools and some of these allowances that were supposed to be paid. Then even the implementation of the autonomy for the university. These are some of the issues that they need, autonomy, for them to be able to do something. We wrote some editorials in recent times, and through that, we were able to get some things, even from the Constitution. University education is not compulsory from the Constitution. It's only the basic education that we're talking about. The federal government has not been able to talk about how to charge appropriate fees. University education anywhere in the world, it's not a tea party. For us to get employable graduates, people who have employable skills in the university system. It's not a thing that you get them to be paying 90 naira, 2,000.
There are countries of the world where you don't pay a dime.
We don't have the money.
But the quality.
We don't have the money.
Yes, the quality will still be top notch. Those the Scandinavian countries, they don't take money from you.
But we don't have money here. We don't have money here. Recently, I tried to...
Should that undermine the quality, like they're saying?
Yeah, definitely, it will undermine quality, because if you do not have...
Because we have not even met the threshold.
The threshold?
We've not met it. Jonathan moved it a little bit, but we've taken it down.
You know,
we don't even fund education sufficiently.
You know what is happening now? We're handling an issue. The National Assembly is creating 80 universities, polytechnics and colleges of education in different constituencies without paying attention to the
Funding.
to funding of the existing ones. They want to create ones in their various
because
constituencies.
it's just political.
It's just political, but they shouldn't toy with
Someone
education
wants
like
to
that.
go back and contest election
Yes,
and say, I
was able to brought university. And so,
I was the one who sponsored the motion
what is
for this
the worth-
university to be taken to
Ajaokuta. What is the worth of Nigerian universities? In all the ratings that we have been talking about, this is what these lecturers are talking about. If you are talking about top 10 universities, as we have been talking about this, top 10 universities in Africa, 7 or 8 are usually in South Africa. The University of Cape Town maintains its top position. And you have 2 in Egypt. The top 10 we never have. The best in Nigeria is around 30 in Africa, which is not good. In other words, there is this correlation between the quality of education and development. So if we do not fund this thing, most of our leaders,
when Nigeria was better, our universities were not lowly rated.
University of Ibadan, from research, had been part
People
of
were
the
coming
best
from abroad.
Part of the fourth best in the Commonwealth, comprising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, so many of these things like this.
Exactly, for you to know how governance works.
It's painful.
It is from the quality of people in the university system.
Yes.
There are so many people who, if you know the number of Nigerians who are outside doing great things, most of them are lecturers.
Yes.
And they respect them a lot.
Of course.
You know, research fellows, in foreign universities. Research
most
fellows.
of them are Nigerians. Why? Because they've left this our own system and they've gone there and
the environment is better.
Because the environment there is extremely better.
And there is enough money for funding.
For funding. When once they say they want to do research, the fund is there.
Some of them are products of the
we
system.
will still have that same problem.
So medical doctors.
I think what the government should just do is they should sit ASU because they have a lot in their plate.
Yes.
We have mentioned it. New Pen, NLC, all of them. If it's money, they should just tell ASU, let's leave money first. Let them deal with so many things. Like you are saying something about proliferation of tertiary institutions.
Yes.
That one, the president can, or the federal government can stop it and say, no, we can't set up state universities for now.
Okay.
You know?
Not even federal universities.
Not even federal universities. Let's stop those ones because you have state universities, some state universities, even as small as someone's result, you won't even get, not to talk of transcripts. You know? So the federal government should sit down with ASU. ASU should be the ones to make us move forward.
I think the
university system should be where we should be getting intellectuals.
For the 2 parties, we are even moving far ahead. This problem cannot be resolved unless both parties agree that the funding is not there. Now the National Assembly has to work with the president, work with the executive to find alternative sources of funding. Wherever, maybe it is the corporations in our country that will be taxed. They just have to find alternative sources of funding because government cannot find the funds that these people are talking about. What is the size of the budget? They're asking for 1.1 trillion now. Where are they going to find it?
Right.
Where are they going to find
But
it?
again,
in a season in which NSC is pulling you, oil workers are pulling you, ASUP is pulling you, all of education workers are pulling you.
And all in the education.
And we are approaching an eleation that has to be funded.
Yes.
So it's really, and you must feel for the students.
Definitely.
Some of them were in the process of defending their project, and then this has happened. We are setting them back.
No, I think maybe they don't understand when people sit down in their house for 4 months, because I have experienced it before. It's not a joke, honestly.
Right.
It's not a joke.
Most of the people have their children in universities abroad.
Let's quickly go to our final topic. Well, for a long time, armed bandits visited untold violence on hapless citizens. Now much emboldened in their carnage, the bandits are changing gear. They have added security agencies who are supposed to shield citizens from their pangs to their list of praise. Last week, policemen engaged the bandits in a duel with casualties recorded on both sides. On Wednesday, police authorities opened up on the clash and confirmed that they lost 16 policemen and rescued 20 others. Police spokesman in the state, Mohammed Shehu, said the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has directed the DIG in charge of operations, Habila Joshak, to remain in the state. Another major operational loss of gallant policemen, there are security officials paying the supreme price for security and the safety of the country. GD.
Yeah, it's, I'm happy that the casualty figure is not even higher than this, because what we had before was that dozens of policemen were lost. It was a massive ambush. And what you want to tell yourself is, are these bandits beginning to operate like Boko Haram? Because it's Boko Haram that carries out this kind of ambush. You know, lock in the corner for Nigerian troops, and then they will throw explosives on their part. And then in that confusion, as people are coming out to see what's going on, they just open fire. So that's what this, it shows that these bandits mean business. They are not ready to give up their illicit pastime. And there was a time when the Air Force was pounding them. The Air Force set up its base in Katsina, you know, and pounding these guys, and they recorded good results within 1 week. But it seems now that those guys have relocated from those hideouts that the Air Force knew, and they are coming right onto highways now to attack people going to Sokoto, on the Tara-Tamafara highway, drag them out and ask for ransom and all that. So they know that the heat is on them, because the police launched a big campaign against them. So there is no, for every big campaign, you must expect casualties on either side. And it's unfortunate that these policemen are paid with their lives just in the desire to keep the people safe. Well, what we can do for now is encourage them. All those local governments where these bandits are operating, Maru, Shinkafi, Zurumi, all of those local governments, Anka, all of those local governments, we need to descend on those local governments with enough firepower, send our troops. I understand the Air Force Special Forces are in Zamfara. They have to work together with the army to flush these guys out, because they seem to believe that nobody can stop them. Remember, even Buhari Daji, the way he was behaving like a king, that even didn't fear the governor until there was a conflict between rival gangs, and then he was killed. It wasn't even the army that killed him. And he was there operating in the forest for years. So, but now others have come up and they are still killing our people. This has to stop. Whatever can be done to stop the killings in Zamfara.
Well, Martins, what can be done to
what can be done is, well, even it's a very good thing now that even at the National Assembly, and I think what they are talking about, police operation, strengthening the police operation, dominated the front pages in most newspapers today, where they are talking about this. The bill that they are discussing is about strengthening police operation, but it should, I will continue to insist, be done within the context of decentralizing the operations of police force. It will be whether it's through federalism or through anything, but what the Vice President started about decentralizing the operations of police force without even talking within the context of what they don't want to hear, federalism, all those things. But he has set up a committee on decentralization of police operations.
We're not hearing anything about that one.
We are not hearing anything about that one again, but they should revive it, because at the end of the day, all this deploying DIG here, deploying AIG, it doesn't work. We can see from operation that we should be very serious about police. It is good that it is police that is operating in this way, and we can see the weaknesses, we can see everything, whatever is done is good. That the president is even talking about their own remuneration.
Yes.
And it's good for police operation, because at the end of the day, all this using soldier is illegal. It's police for internal security. It's good.
I just feel for the families of those who lost family members in this operation. And just like you've said, they just need to up the game. If Zamfara has been in the news, not for the good reasons, but always for this armed banditry. So the best thing is we have to go all out. We don't want another Boko Haram, you know, on our hands.
Not
Crush
rest.
these guys.
Because we need to crush them now that there are just very few of them, you know. Because by the
Before
time
they even
it
spread to
moves,
another state.
by the time it
state.
moves to another state, it becomes a cancer that we can't handle.
Yeah,
So they have to move all out. If they are going to use the troops, like the special forces are there now, if they are going to use to finish them, let them finish them once and for all, and let there be peace in Zamfara.
Not show mercy to them.
No mercy.
Not show mercy to them.
Because human lives have already gone.
Yes. We had several operational losses. Gentlemen, well, I guess this is where we wrap it up on the show for today. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danny Boy. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.